My name is Matt Russo, and I fix computers for a living. 37 years old, decent at my job, terrible at reading people, especially my wife Tracy. The discovery came on a Tuesday morning while I was replacing the hard drive on Tracy's laptop. She'd claimed it was running slow, asked me to work my magic with that fake smile she'd been wearing more often lately. I should have seen the signs, the late nights, the new gym membership, the way she'd clutch her phone like a lifeline. But I'm an IT guy. I see problems in code, not in marriage. The laptop booted up clean, but something nagged at me. Call it professional curiosity or husband's intuition. Probably just stupidity. I ran a data recovery scan on the old drive, telling myself I was being thorough. That's when I found the deleted folder labeled Private Photos. My hands shook as I clicked through image after image. Tracy with some muscle-bound guy I didn't recognize. Tracy in positions I hadn't seen in months. Tracy looking happier than she'd looked at me in years. The guy was tall, dark-haired, with the kind of smug grin that screamed, "I own a sports car and think I'm God's gift to women." His name, according to the file properties, was Eric Bell. I sat there in my cramped home office, surrounded by computer parts and empty energy drink cans, staring at proof that my marriage was a joke. The rational part of my brain said to confront her immediately. The hurt part wanted to pack my bags and disappear. But there was a third part, the part that remembered every snide comment from her family, every time she'd rolled her eyes at my job, every joke at my expense. That part wanted something else entirely, revenge. I copied everything to an encrypted drive and restored her laptop to factory settings. When Tracy came home that evening, I handed it back with a smile. "All fixed, honey. Runs like new." She kissed my cheek, the same lips that had been all over Eric Bell. "You're the best, Matt. What would I do without you?" I was about to find out. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Tracy worked in HR at Morrison Industries, one of those mid-sized companies that thinks it's bigger than it is. She'd climbed the corporate ladder by being ruthlessly efficient and politically savvy, traits I'd once admired. Now I wondered how many other people she'd stepped on to get where she was. I spent the next week in reconnaissance mode. Tracy had always been careless with passwords, using variations of our anniversary date for everything. It took me less than an hour to crack her email accounts, social media, and, most importantly, her phone backup. What I found made my stomach turn. Not just the affair with Eric, but a whole network of lies. Group chats with her friends, Kelsey and Alana, where they mocked me relentlessly. Messages calling me boring Matt and the IT nerd. Discussions about how she was trading up to Eric, who owned a chain of fitness centers across the city. The worst part was a conversation from 3 weeks ago. Tracy: "Matt's so clueless. I could probably bring Eric home for dinner and he wouldn't notice." Kelsey: "LOL, seriously? He's that oblivious?" Tracy: "Completely. Sometimes I think he loves his computers more than me." Alana: "Well, at least Eric knows how to treat a woman right." Tracy: "In every way that matters." I read that exchange 5 times, each pass stoking the fire in my chest. They thought I was some pathetic, oblivious husband who'd never fight back. They were about to learn otherwise. My plan started simple. Gather evidence, document everything, then expose them all in the most public, humiliating way possible. But as I dug deeper into their digital lives, I realized I could do so much more. Eric Bell wasn't just Tracy's lover. He was a grade-A scumbag. His gym's Yelp reviews were filled with complaints about aggressive sales tactics and inappropriate behavior toward female clients. His business license had several violations. His social media was a masterpiece of toxic masculinity and barely legal tax evasion advice. Kelsey, Tracy's best friend and chief enabler, was having her own affair, with her married boss at the marketing firm where she worked. She'd been embezzling small amounts from client accounts to fund her lifestyle, thinking nobody would notice. And Alana? Sweet, innocent Alana, who always played the victim? She'd been catfishing lonely men online for money, using fake profiles and sob stories to extract loans she never intended to repay. They were all rotten to the core, and I was going to burn their whole world down. I chose Tracy's birthday party as ground zero. She'd planned a celebration at Skyline, the trendy rooftop bar downtown where all her friends liked to pose for Instagram photos. The guest list included her work colleagues, her family, and, according to the group chat I was monitoring, Eric would be there as her surprise date. The surprise was going to be on them. I arrived early, dressed in my best shirt and carrying a laptop bag. The bartender, a college kid named Jake, was setting up the sound system for the evening's festivities. "Hey, man," I said, approaching him with my most innocent smile. "I'm Matt, Tracy's husband. She asked me to set up a slideshow for tonight. You know, baby photos, memories, that kind of thing. Mind if I connect to your system?" Jake shrugged. "Sure, whatever. The HDMI port's behind the main screen." It took me less than 5 minutes to hack into their network and gain control of every screen in the place. I uploaded my slideshow to the server and set it to trigger with a simple command from my phone. Guests started arriving around 7. Tracy made her grand entrance at 7:30, wearing a red dress I'd never seen before and enough makeup to stock a department store. She hugged me in front of everyone, the perfect loving wife performance. "Maddie, I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be such a wonderful night." Eric showed up 20 minutes later, playing the part of the casual acquaintance. He was exactly as obnoxious in person as I'd imagined, loud, arrogant, and constantly checking his reflection in every available surface. "Tracy, happy birthday," he said, giving her a hug that lasted just a beat too long. "And you must be Matt. I've heard so much about you." I shook his hand, squeezing just hard enough to make him wince. "Likewise, Eric, though I feel like I know you already." His smile faltered for just a second. "Good." The party hit full swing around 9 o'clock. Tracy was holding court near the bar, surrounded by her usual crowd of admirers and enablers. I positioned myself across the room, laptop open, waiting for the perfect moment. It came when Tracy stood up to give a speech, thanking everyone for coming and gushing about how blessed she was to have such wonderful people in her life. "I just want to say," she continued, raising her champagne glass, "that life is about surrounding yourself with people who really know you, who see the real you and love you anyway." I pressed enter. Every screen in the bar lit up with the first image, Tracy and Eric in a very compromising position, taken in what looked like his office. The crowd went silent. Tracy's champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. But I wasn't done. The slideshow continued. Dozens of photos, screenshots of their text conversations, audio clips of Tracy talking about me like I was some kind of pet she'd grown tired of. The piece de resistance was a video Eric had apparently taken of himself, explaining in graphic detail what he wanted to do to my wife. The bar erupted in chaos. People were shouting, pointing, pulling out their phones to record the spectacle. Tracy's mother, a prim woman who'd never approved of me, looked like she was about to faint. Her brother Dave, the same guy who'd once jokingly shoved a banana in my face at a family dinner, was staring at the screens with his mouth hanging open. Eric tried to make a run for it, but the crowd blocked his path to the exit. He ended up cornered near the bathrooms, frantically trying to explain himself to anyone who'd listen. Tracy found me in the chaos, her face a mask of rage and humiliation. "How could you do this to me?" she hissed. "You've ruined everything." I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. The woman I'd married was still there somewhere, but she'd been replaced by this bitter, selfish stranger who saw other people as obstacles to her happiness. "I ruined everything?" I said quietly. "Tracy, I'm not the one who decided our marriage wasn't worth fighting for. I'm just the guy who decided to stop pretending it was still alive. I closed my laptop and walked toward the exit. The crowd parted to let me through, and I could feel dozens of eyes following my movement. At the door, I turned back one last time. Oh, and happy birthday, honey. Hope it was everything you deserved. The fallout from the birthday party was immediate and spectacular. By the next morning, videos of the incident were circulating on social media. Tracy's professional reputation took a massive hit. HR directors aren't supposed to have their personal lives splashed across the internet in quite such a dramatic fashion. But Eric wasn't going to take his humiliation lying down. He showed up at my house 3 days later, pounding on the front door like he was trying to break it down. I watched him through the security camera I'd installed the previous year, noting the way his face was red with rage and his hands were clenched into fists. I opened the door with my phone already recording. Eric, what a pleasant surprise. Come to thank me for the free publicity. You think you're real smart, don't you? He snarled, stepping closer, hiding behind your little computer tricks like some kind of coward. I prefer strategically minded, but sure, coward works too. He grabbed me by the shirt and shoved me against the doorframe. You have no idea who you're messing with, you pathetic little worm. I could snap you in half. Probably, I agreed, making sure my phone caught every word. But here's the thing, Eric. I don't need to be stronger than you. I just need to be smarter, and buddy, that bar is set pretty low. His face went purple. He drew back his fist, and for a moment I thought he was actually going to hit me. Instead, he shoved me again and stormed off, shouting threats over his shoulder about how this wasn't over. I posted the video online within the hour, along with a caption. Local businessman Eric Bell threatens violence over exposure of affair. Is this the kind of person you want running your gym? The response was swift and brutal. Eric's business pages were flooded with negative reviews. Several of his clients canceled their memberships. The local news picked up the story, framing it as a cautionary tale about social media and public shaming. But I was just getting started. Tracy tried to salvage her career, but the damage was too extensive. Morrison Industries prided itself on maintaining a family-friendly corporate culture, and having an HR director whose affair had gone viral didn't fit that image. She was placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Meanwhile, I'd been busy digging into Eric's business practices. What I found was a goldmine of potential legal troubles, tax evasion, safety violations, fraudulent billing practices. I compiled everything into a neat package and sent it anonymously to the State Attorney General's office, the IRS, and several local news outlets. Kelsey was next on my list. Her affair with her boss was sloppy and well documented in their email exchanges, which I'd accessed through Tracy's forwarded messages. But the embezzlement was the real prize. Small amounts over several months, always just under the threshold that would trigger automatic audits. I created a detailed spreadsheet showing the discrepancies and sent it to her company's compliance department, along with screenshots of her expensive purchases that didn't match her declared income. Alana's catfishing operation was harder to unravel, but I'd learned patience. I tracked her fake profiles across multiple dating sites, documented her various sob stories and financial requests, then created a comprehensive report showing her methods and victims. I sent copies to the FBI's Internet Crimes Division and posted warnings on several online forums where her victims might see them. One by one, I watched their lives implode. Eric's gyms were hit with surprise inspections that revealed numerous violations. Kelsey was fired and faced potential criminal charges. Alana found herself under investigation for wire fraud. And Tracy? Tracy was spiraling. She'd moved in with her mother temporarily, but even that relationship was strained. The family dinner incident, where her brother had humiliated me with the banana routine while she laughed, had come back to haunt her when I'd sent the security footage to their extended family group chat, along with a detailed explanation of how they'd treated me over the years. Her support network was crumbling, her career was in ruins, and her lover was facing potential jail time, Everything she'd built her identity around was falling apart, but I wasn't done yet. The end came on a rainy Thursday evening in October. I was at home, working on a client's server configuration, when I heard car doors slamming in my driveway. Through the window, I saw Tracy, Eric, and Kelsey approaching my front door. They looked like a delegation of the damned, haggard, desperate, and angry. I opened the door before they could knock. Well, well, the gang's all here. Come to apologize? Cut the crap, Matt, Tracy said. Her voice was hoarse and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. This has gone far enough. You've destroyed our lives over what? A stupid affair? People make mistakes. Mistakes? I laughed. Tracy, you didn't accidentally trip and land on Eric's. Shut up! Eric stepped forward, his face twisted with rage. You think you're so clever, hiding behind your computer like some kind of puppet master, but you're just a pathetic loser who couldn't keep his wife satisfied. Kelsey nodded vigorously. You're sick, Matt. What kind of person does this? We're human beings, not characters in your revenge fantasy. I looked at the three of them. These people who'd mocked me, betrayed me, and thought they could get away with it because I was just the boring IT guy who wouldn't fight back. You want to know what kind of person does this? I said quietly. The kind who gets tired of being treated like garbage by people who think they're better than him. The kind who realizes that sometimes the only way to get justice is to take it yourself. Justice? Tracy's voice cracked. You call this justice? I lost my job, Matt. My career is over. My family won't speak to me. How is that justice for having an affair? It's not justice for the affair, Tracy. It's justice for everything else. For every time you rolled your eyes when I talked about my work. For every joke you made about me to your friends. For treating me like some kind of servant who should be grateful for whatever scraps of attention you threw my way. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. Did you know I recorded every conversation we had for the past 6 months? Amazing what you learn when you actually listen. Like how you were planning to divorce me and take half of everything I've worked for. How you and Eric were going to move to Florida and start fresh with my money. Their faces went white. They hadn't known about that particular piece of evidence. But here's my favorite part, I continued, swiping to another recording. The conversation where you three planned to frame me for harassment. Make it look like I was stalking you, threatening you. Get a restraining order, maybe even criminal charges. Really destroy my life completely. Eric lunged at me, but I was ready. I stepped aside and let him crash into the doorframe. He bounced off and stumbled backward, landing hard on the wet pavement. Careful there, champ. Wouldn't want you to hurt yourself on my property. The cameras might not capture your best angle. He looked up and saw the security cameras I'd installed, all of them pointing at the front entrance. His face went from red to pale in seconds. That's right, I said. Every word of this conversation is being recorded. Every threat, every admission, every stupid thing you've said since you got here. And it's all being uploaded to the cloud in real time. Tracy was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in black streams. Please, Matt. I know I hurt you, but this isn't you. You're not this cruel. You're right, I said. The old Matt wasn't this cruel. The old Matt would have forgiven you, tried to work things out, maybe even blamed himself for your affair. But you didn't want the old Matt, remember? You wanted something better. Well, congratulations. You got it. I stepped back into my house and started to close the door. Wait, Kelsey called out. What do you want? Money? An apology? Just tell us what it'll take to end this. I paused and looked at her. Really looked at her. A week ago, she'd been posting on social media about karma and how people get what they deserve. Now she was begging me to show mercy. I don't want anything from you, I said finally. I already got what I wanted. I wanted you to understand what it feels like to have your life torn apart by people who think you don't matter. I wanted you to know what it's like to be helpless while everything you care about gets destroyed. I wanted you to feel as small and worthless as you made me feel. I looked at each of them in turn, Tracy with her ruined makeup and desperate eyes, Eric with his bruised ego and empty threats, Kelsey with her fake concern and genuine terror. Mission accomplished. I closed the door and turned off the porch light, leaving them standing in the rain. Through the window, I watched them argue for a few minutes before finally getting back in their car and driving away. I never saw any of them again. The divorce papers came 3 weeks later. Tracy didn't contest anything. She couldn't afford a lawyer, and she knew I had enough evidence to bury her in court. Eric's gym business collapsed within 2 months, and he left town to avoid the criminal charges. Kelsey plea bargained her way out of jail time but had to pay massive restitution and do community service. I kept their house, their assets, and their secrets. But most importantly, I kept my dignity. Sometimes people ask me if I feel guilty about what I did to them. The answer is simple. I sleep better now than I had in years. They taught me that nice guys don't finish last. They just need better strategies. And I've always been good with computers.